Hello friends, in this video I'll be going over different talents and glyphs that have good synergy with one another, as well as explaining why I feel some talents are better than others in different situations. This expansion is very dependent on what comp you're playing as well as facing. Being able to actively switch out glyphs and talents in the preparation room is key to success in Mists. Keep in mind, these are my opinions and feelings. The best setup for Rogue is the talent and glyph spread that caters to your playstyle and spec. In the first tier of talents you have three choices: Night Stalker, Subterfuge, and Shadow Focus. Night Stalker seems relatively useless, only increasing your movement speed and the damage you deal with abilities while stealthed, while Subterfuge allows you to have safe openers. The fact that it breaks your stealth 3 seconds after dealing or receiving hostile damage makes it a surefire way to land a cheap shot and a sap in the opening. Shadow Focus, on the other hand, while a little bit more risky than Subterfuge, allows you to have more effective openers by removing the energy cost of all your abilities. Keep in mind though, a more effective opener can be completely negated by getting knocked out of stealth, which Subterfuge protects you from. There are only two viable choices in this tree, in my opinion, and that's Subterfuge or Shadow Focus. Depending on which spec I'm playing or which comp I'm facing, I like to switch it up. The choice is yours. In the second tier, we have Deadly Throw, Nerve Strike, and Combat Readiness. Deadly Throw reduces the movement speed of your target, and if thrown with 5 combo points, will interrupt spellcasting. Nerve Strike: when you successfully kidney shot or cheap shot your target, you will reduce their damage dealt by 50% after the stun effect fades. This is very powerful when peeling for your teammates. In tandem with Subterfuge, you can get off a couple cheap shots on multiple targets and reduce the damage dealt by them by 50% for a few seconds, really relieve pressure from your team. Combat Readiness reduces the damage you take by 10%, stacking up to 5 times each time you take an attack. If you're not attacked for 10 seconds, however, this buff will fade. This ability is pretty easy to counter, I feel, and smart players will just switch off you when you pop it. Nerve Strike is the superior talent in my opinion, but Combat Readiness does have its uses. Here's a quick example of how Nerve Strike can be used. He beasts within my first stun, but he still has the reduced damage effect on him. I disarm the other hunter and vanish a quick cheap shot, just to apply the effect. I try to redirect a kidney here, but he deterrences. Once deterrence is down, I kidney him. I pop majority of my cools, and I try my best to burst him here. This is just a small example of how Nerve Strike can be used to reduce a lot of pressure off your healer. Now, this turns out to be a very long game. We do manage to overcome them in the end. In the third tier, we don't have a whole lot of options. I feel that Cheat Death is lacking. Currently, in the state of executes, you can get hit by, let's say, a Shadow Burn, proc your Cheat Death, and then get hit for an execute for about 30k through the 80% damage reduction. There's just a lot of damage in the execute phase, so the damage being reduced by only 80% makes this talent not so great. Leeching Poison is in the same boat. Having to lose out on an offhand poison that could be better just really leaves Leeching Poison lacking. The Shiv effect is kind of okay, but it really isn't that great. Now, Elusiveness, in tandem with the Glyph of Feint, is really powerful. I really like the 7-second duration on it. You can have really high uptime on it for a relatively low energy cost. It's nice when you're sitting roots, unable to control your character. You can just keep that 30% DR up. And when you're being tunneled, it's really helpful, especially. Overall, this tree doesn't have much to offer other than elusiveness, I find. Cheat Death and Leeching Poison both are lacking currently. In this tier, we have an extremely difficult choice to make. We're stuck choosing between Preparation and Shadow Step, which really frustrated a lot of rogues, and Burst of Speed, which is a new ability which is currently not that great. Preparation has been considered one of the baseline PvP talents for a long time now, and it has been changed slightly this expansion. Now when you use Preparation, it resets the cooldown of all your abilities except for Shadow Step and kick. But instead we gained Cloak of Shadows and Evasion, which I feel is a pretty worthwhile trade-off. Shadow Step, as we all know, puts us behind our target, allows us to land kidney shots without worrying about avoidance, and is just one of the important abilities that almost every rogue is used to playing with. Burst of Speed is a new ability with a little bit of a high energy cost, I'd say, currently. It increases our movement speed by 70% for 4 seconds. However, if we are affected by any movement impairing effects such as Frost Nova or Crippling Poison, it grants us a 4-second freedom effect. Definitely a worthwhile talent to look at and give some testing to, but in my experience Shadow Step just overperforms compared to Burst of Speed. The high energy cost and the fact that people can just keep their distance from you for that 4 seconds and then try and reach you again, which will force you to burn another 60 energy, leaving you at 0 energy when you connect to your target, really just makes Shadow Step the best choice. Or Prep, depending on how you're playing or what comp you're playing with. In this tier we have some pretty unique choices. Prey on the Weak provides a 10% damage boost from all sources when your targets are stunned or under the effects of Gouge, Sap, or Blind. Now, this is a unique trait that I don't think any other class currently has. You increase the damage by 10% from all your teammates. It's incredibly powerful in rated battlegrounds as well as some burst comps. Paralytic Poison is a lot of fun as well. The poison stacks 5 times, applying a 4-second stun. Now, this stun is on random stun DR, completely separate from any other Diminishing Returns. You can also shiv targets to root them for 4 seconds while you have this poison on. Dirty Tricks is a very interesting talent as well. While it's active, your bleed effects and poisons will not break your Gouge, so you can use Gouge in an entirely new way. It's free and you can regenerate energy while it's active, because your poisons do not break. Definitely powerful for 1v1s, and that's where I prefer to use it. It can be used for some control in arenas through focus gouging. Overall, this tier is pretty much up to you. All of the options in this tier are extremely great. I've had a lot of fun using all 3. This last tree has some pretty interesting choices. Shuriken Tossed is a ranged ability that applies your poisons to your target.
That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet.
As you can see here, generates combo points and applies my poisons. Versatility removes the cooldown on your redirect ability, which allows you to set up pretty easy switches on your kidney shots, as you can do it every CD. Anticipation allows you to generate a charge of anticipation every time you gain a combo point while at 5 combo points. I find this talent is a lot better for sub, as you can generate quite a few combo points, pool those combo points, and go into a shadow dance with 10 combo points, apply Find Weakness to your target, and get some incredible burst from 2 Eviscerates. As Assassination, I don't feel I'm generating quite as many combo points, and I'm pretty energy starved anyway, so Shuriken Toss remains my favorite for Assassination, as the energy cost is only 20. It generates a combo point, it applies applies poisons to my target, as well as it's a ranged ability. We need Blind for pretty much every comp we're going to run, I feel. Garrote is an extremely powerful option that I don't think we should be running without. And because I love elusiveness so much, I run Glyph of Find as well. Other options though are Glyph of Cheap Shot, Cloak of Shadows, which reduces physical damage by 40% while Cloak is active. Definitely a powerful choice. Gouge is nice, you can gouge from behind without having to worry about avoidance. And I don't know, Smoke Bomb is interesting, so is Shiv. 2 seconds on the duration of your Smoke Bomb and 2 seconds off the cooldown of your Shiv. Shadow Walk is kind of fun. You can get the sap in a 2v2. I mean, can't really find much use for it other than that. When it comes to Glyphs, I feel pretty restricted to Garrote, and blind. I switch out Fight for maybe Gouge if I'm running Dirty Tricks, maybe Cloak or Cheap Shot, depending on what kind of comp I'm facing. I hope the information I've shared with you has been helpful, and you've kind of got an idea as to why I run certain things and which talents I feel are better than others. Now, I'll say this once again, the spec and comp you're facing really depend on which talent is going to be most effective. So, always remember to be fluid in your talents. Don't be too rigid. You don't want to find yourself sticking to certain talents just because you feel they're the best. Always keep in mind that the arena is constantly changing, and you're always going to be in different kinds of situations depending on what comp you're facing and running with. Thanks a whole lot for watching. I really appreciate all the feedback you guys give me. So go ahead and toss a like to this video. It really helps. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.